Hello, good afternoon. I hope everyone are well and safe. My name is Tia Haslam, and thank you for joining us in today's webinar. I would like to welcome you to our Never Stop Learning webinar series on an introduction to D365 Customer Insights with Microsoft Canada. This is a live session brought to you by CRM Dynamics, one of the largest Microsoft Gold partner in Canada, 2019 Microsoft Impact Award winner, and a member of Microsoft Global Inner Circle Partners for Business Application in 2019 and 2020. Before we begin our webinar, I would like to take you through some guidelines. To ensure that everyone can listen to the presentation, we have muted all the lines, and if you would like to ask a question, please use the chat or question function on your control panel, and we will address them at the end of the presentations. In today's session, you will be introduced to our Dynamics 365 Customer Insight, where you and your team member will have the ability to accurately identify trends, integrate customers' feedback for better business decisions, and provide your business with detailed insights on your product and services to meet your customer needs. We are very excited today to have Pierre Bertrand, our Senior Business Development Executive at CRM Dynamics, and Ronnie Oman, Partner Technology Architect for Business Application from Microsoft Canada, presenting for us today. I hope you enjoyed the webinar, and now I would like to invite Pierre and Ronnie to begin their presentation.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's Pierre from Serum Dynamics. So just wanted to thank, first of all, Ronnie, who is generously offered to come in and help us with this presentation. And as T was mentioning, I'm Pierre, Sales Director at Serum Dynamics, and Ronnie is going to be doing a lot of the presentation later on. Let me just take you quickly through the agenda that we're going to be going through today. We're going to start with quick introductions. I'm going to talk about Serum Dynamics for about a minute and a half, not to bore anyone on this. Then I'm going to pass it over to Ronnie, who's going to talk about Customer Insights. Ronnie's going to take us through an overview. He's going to talk about the architecture. And then we're going to talk about pricing and how to get started. We'll take questions and we'll wrap up. So it'll be pretty straightforward. And we're expecting to go for about 45 minutes with the presentation. And then we have about 15 minutes at the end with questions. So let me talk about Serum Dynamics just for a minute. So for those who don't know CRMD, we're, as Tia was mentioning, a Microsoft Gold partner in Canada. We've won multiple awards over the years from Microsoft, and we've done about 700 projects over the years. Now, one of the things that's really relevant for today is we're one of the few partners in Canada who's enabled with Customer Insights. So we've built a practice on Customer Insights, and we're one of a handful of partners in Canada. But you're not here to hear about Serum Dynamics, you're here to about Customer Insights. So just a quick intro. So for several years, I've been talking to clients and prospects about getting a 360-degree view of their customers and about getting the kinds of insights that you can only have when you're able to leverage information that's spread across multiple systems. Now, Customer Insight is the tool that finally makes this not only possible, but surprisingly easy. And that's what Ronnie's going to show us today. Now, we've invited two groups of attendees. A lot of our clients are on this call who are already D365 users, and we also have other organizations that we've invited who are not on Dynamics. And the reason that's possible is because Customer Insights can be a standalone application or work within the Microsoft ecosystem. So you don't need to have Dynamics 365. You don't need to use CRM or anything else. This can be set up standalone. So for those who are not already on Dynamics or not our clients, that's fine. This 100% applies to you. So now let me pass it to Ronnie. So Ronnie, you have the floor for the next 40 minutes.
Thank you, Pierre. Thank you, Tia. Hello, everybody. My name is Ronnie, and I'm a technical architect with Microsoft Canada in the business application space. So what does business applications mean? It means any technology or application that touches your business and creates a huge impact. That's a business application. In my line of work, I deal a lot with CXO, CEOs, business development managers, decision makers, and stakeholders. And one thing that I've always found in common with everyone is that everyone is on a mission to create value in their line of business, right? And one of the foundational principles of creating value within an organization is based on what we call as the deep and better understanding of a customer. And that's what we call today as customer insights. So in layman's terms, we can consider customer insights as say a penetrative or a non-obvious or perhaps even a counterintuitive way of understanding customer needs, preferences, behaviors, and customer frustrations as well. That can lead our organization to a business opportunity, right? The collective information relevant to our business is sometimes what we call as this 360-degree view, as Pierre mentioned, right? Yeah, I know if I were right now sitting in front of you and I would ask you, how many of you actually have a clear view of what a 360-degree view look like in your organization, right? And if I were to ask you today to raise your hands, how many hands do you think would have really been raised, right? Is there such a thing as a 360-degree view? Were you able to achieve it, or were you not, or why weren't you able to achieve it? In all of the sessions that I've done physically in this for customer insights, I've asked these questions, and I've seen a few hands raise up, and those are what I call as unicorns, right? They're those people who they know for a fact that in their business they don't have a 360-degree view, but there are a few out there, but unicorns never really existed. So with that, the foundational principle here today is that we're going to look at customer experience is the way an organization is going to differentiate today. And that's the new differentiation background. Let's look at some of what the expectations are, or what are some of the things that we're seeing in the market today, right? 91% of consumers are more likely to shop with brands who recognize, remember, and provide relevant offers and recommendations. So here's the deal that you make with that company. So let's say, for example, if you are a Netflix subscriber, if you allow Netflix to have information about how you search for content on Netflix, they are able to make a lot of recommendations to the content that you want to see in the future, right? And when you see that, the searching experience is it's not very satisfactory. But the insights over a period of time, that 3 months of you struggling to search, is now you don't need to search anymore. It's relevant content that's going to come into your Netflix account, right? Second thing that we see is 81% of buyers want brands to get to know them and understand them. That's exactly what Netflix is doing today. All the content is becoming relevant to what you search for, right? 65% of customers are frustrated with inconsistent experiences. So if I call the call center in a bank, or walk into the actual branch, or talk to a bot on the website, it's a whole 3 different types of experiences. So now customers are expecting it to be an omni-channel experience with the same, irrespective of what channel I go through, I still need to get the same experience, right? Irrelevant content, spam emails, I know I lived in several countries over the past 10 years, and I still get emails from real estate companies talking about properties they want to sell to me. And I just go in and spam. It's irrelevant content. There's so much out there, right? Okay, and here's the scary part. 60% of customers have stopped doing business with at least one company because of a poor customer experience. Does your organization need to be one of those? Right. The next segment is called the 29% of the marketing expense in an organization today is spent on technology. So here we have companies spending a huge amount of money on business applications, marketing automation, lead generation, social media systems. What are we trying to do here? So that 30% of that marketing budget is spent on technology. And the term ROI is very important today, right? When we spend all this money, can we really generate the revenue or the business that we want from this amount of money we spend on technology, right? Right. And then here's the thing. Microsoft has ventured into what we call as Customer Insights, which is now called the Customer Data Platform from Microsoft. And it's supposed to grow 50% over year by year, and the revenue is going to be about $1 billion in year 2020. That's in this year, right? So that is what our forecast is looking like, and that's why Microsoft's actually playing in this space, right? So one of the challenges that we see is that every multiple data systems that they are fragmented, sitting all over the place. Approaches and criteria to personalization. You talk to a marketing department and ask them, what does the customer view look like? And you go to a sales department, it's totally different. You talk to the CXO level on what is the information about a customer you need to know, it's totally different. So there is no consensus on what that 360-degree view is even within a single organization. Now we're collecting all this data from multiple systems. Now Canada has a lot of privacy laws, so it's important that we protect the customer data. Compliance is key, right? And how much are you going to invest in scaling your business, right? And that's where we're going to leverage a lot, because there's now so much of data about the customer. Like we know that there are companies who've collected information about a single customer for 30 years, right? Several touch points. We just can't aggregate it together and put it into a single system and make it scalable. It's going to be really hard, right? So here comes Dynamics 365 Customer Insights, and the vision that we have is to empower every organization today to unify and understand its customer data so that we can derive insights that power personalized experiences and processes. What does that mean? That means I might have a lot of analytic systems and data analysis being done. I can derive a lot of insights. But if I'm not able to take actionable steps against these insights, it's literally of no use to me, right? Today, I saw that there is a $1 billion opportunity in year 2020. That's an insight that I got. But that's not driving me to make any changes in my organizations automatically to go and get that piece of the pie. So having an insight is as important as having an actionable step that goes along with that insights. And that's the power of D365 Customer Insights. It gives you the next actionable step that needs to be taken to get that experience for your organization towards your customer. So we've been running this in North America for the past 8 months, and here's what we see. Most companies in the last 6 months have seen a 5 to 10 increase in revenue just by having proper data. And we have increased operational efficiencies by up to 25%. Now this translates into a lot, I don't need to spend time searching for customer information. It's all aggregated together. I have better processes today because I know exactly what the customer is expecting. So everything, there is a delta improvement, and all put together is what you see over here. 10% increase in revenue and 25% decrease in cost. So in order to do that, we have introduced 4 things. One is we're going to get rid of all the silos that you have. That means that you can have systems sitting all over in your own personal data center or multiple systems. This is all data that you own. We're going to eliminate all the data silos and unify all of that data. How are we going to do it? We are not going to write queries to put out for putting this data together and unifying it. We are going to let AI and machine learning do the work for you. And that's where the power of Microsoft comes in, which is we are now going to automatically use the machine learning algorithms that have been built by Microsoft to unify this data. Then we're going to enrich this with Microsoft signals. For example, what is a Microsoft signal? Is now we know, let's say, for example, your company uses Office 365 for Outlook and emails, and you use, say, another Salesforce for some information. So what happens now is anything that belongs to Microsoft, you are able to derive data out of it. So Office 365 has an API called Graph API. So I'm going to take Pierre as an example. Pierre likes to send emails at between 9:30 in the morning to 10:30. So that's the behavioral trend that we have seen in the Office 365. So that means, what is the insight is that, hey, that's the time that Pierre generally works on Outlook. So if I were to send out a marketing promotional message to Pierre during that time, I know that there's a higher probability of Pierre being in front of his Outlook on his machine, looking at his email, and there's a higher chance that this person is going to read that campaign that comes into his mailbox. But the fact that he works at 9:30 to 10:30 is an insight that I got from the Graph API of Office 365, right? Similarly, from all the technologies that Microsoft has today, we are able to get those insights because of the Graph API. The second thing is Microsoft is building a proprietary service that looks on brands on social media and on the internet. So today, how is Disney compared to something like CNN or something like some bank? So there are these enrichment signals coming in from different sources on the internet. Think of it like an RSS feed, but getting insights, right? It can go in and look at share prices and say, hey, now the stock market is down, so these are some of the decisions that you. So it's like a crawler on the internet that goes and searches for information, right? And the fourth one is based on all these insights. It gives you actionable steps to go in and take the next decisions in your line of business application. One of the things that we think when we think about improving customer experience, we think about, hey, there are some metrics or some KPIs that we need to evolve in our business so that we can actually reach that target. So let's say, for example, you're a company and there's two things that's top of mind for you, and that's growth and cost, right? So the business outcome is that, hey, we need to increase sales so that we get growth. We should need to cross-sell our products to our existing customers, so there's growth. So some of the outcomes are increased customer retention and then reduce cost to serve. So this is the way we're going to, some of the outcomes that need to come from the business, right? And then to measure that, so there are a lot of KPIs that you would define in your business: conversion rate, brand affinity, returns rate, customer engagement score, net promoter score, order value, customer lifetime value. All of these KPIs, it's important as a business that we need to. How is this done today? You would use multiple systems, write some queries, bring some data in together, get your data people to create those reports and those KPI dashboards. That's how we do it today. But here's the problem. What are the different kinds of data that we have today? So we've got demographic. Yeah, so we have ABC systems that capture their demographic information. The second kind of data is behavioral. So browsing pattern, what are the websites that I go to? What are my usage patterns? What's my social media presence look like? What are my preferences? That's behavioral, right? Then there's transactional. So how many purchases did I do? How much of loyalty points did I spend? What are the invoices that you have? What are my returns? Everything is transactional, right? And the last bit is proprietary. Proprietary is nothing but things that belong to your organization. There might be some IP or some business, some solution that you're running in your organization that belongs to you. That knowledge is proprietary. Now we're going to get all of this together and match it against a single customer profile. That's not easy, right? So that means this is what it's going to look like. It's going to have multiple systems, and we are trying to map somewhere in one of these four systems. There's a customer record there, and we are going to bring that into one single profile and match everything else. That's a lot of work for the data people, right? So here we come with Customer Insights, where we saw the data scenario, and we've got Customer Insights has connectors to almost all the standard solutions out there in the market today. So we've got connectors to SAP, we've got connectors to Excel or to all the Microsoft products into D365. We can connect to any Azure SQL. We can connect to any sort of an application that we want to extract data from. So here's the good thing. We don't need to refine the data when we're pulling that data in. So the way it works is we ingest the data first. So let's say we can connect into, say, D365 or Salesforce, and we pull in raw data out of that system and dump it into an Azure SQL instance in the Microsoft Cloud. This is your own instance. It doesn't belong to anybody else. This is your own data. Once it's in there, we'll go into the second system and pull the data into the same Azure SQL instance, or Azure. It's called the Azure Data Lake. So all the systems that we want to pull in data, we're going to all dump it in together into the Azure Data Lake. Then we will run the AI to do the mapping and matching. So we're going to look at, hey, there is a customer record in system A and customer record in system B. The only thing we need to do manually is to say that, hey, the customer record is our fundamental basis of doing the match. So once we do that, AI takes over and it maps all the attributes of customer A in system 1 and all the attributes of customer A in system 2 and puts it in together intelligently. It runs deduplication, it gets rid of unwanted data, it cleanses it up and makes it ready to actually be used in going to the next step. So it enriches and conflates and it unifies the data. So now it takes customer A from system A, B, and C, puts it into a single customer record in this data lake, which shows attributes from all the 3 systems. That's the unification process. After that's done, it runs more AI and provides insights. Yeah, and that is done using, so the insights are nothing but your KPIs. Like I want to measure customer lifetime value, or I want to measure what is the churn risk, which is a model that customers want to know, or businesses want to know when am I going to lose this customer? What is the lifetime spend or engagement that this customer is going to have with my business? All these are machine learning models. These models are available today for a customer insights user to go in and use to run that model against your data that has been cleansed, been unified in the previous stage, and you derive those insights. I'll give you some examples after this. And then once that's done, we can take those insights and push it as processes into a Power App, for example, or into D365. We can push it into the other system, but it doesn't have to be Microsoft. You can actually take those insights and put it into any third-party solution that you want, which can be accessed over a portal, web, social, bots, or in person. Right? It doesn't have to be Dynamics. It can be any application. It's just a data source, and that data can be exported into any application. All right. So we saw this. The first part is the ingestion, the mapping, the conflation, that's the unifying, the enrichment, the insights, and then the actionable. Take this, leverage these insights to take actions, right? So how is this different from traditional customer analytics? 2 things. I mean, there's a lot of information, but I can just sum it up in 2 things. It's very expensive to hire a data scientist to do this, right? That's one. Second thing is, it takes a lot of time to put in data from all these different systems and get what we call as a human intervention to have a look at and analyze the situation and write those queries. Here, we're just dumping in raw data, and we're going to let AI take over and do all of that work for you. It's a much more scalable, and it learns. So the thing with machine learning is once it understands and we teach the system that this is the framework of understanding. It learns as time goes, and in a period of months or a period of weeks or months, it becomes that expert to actually do the mapping on how you've taught that machine learning model to do. Right? That's the key difference here. So now in my customer insights, let's assume I've brought in data from multiple systems. What does my customer profile look like? Let's take a look at this screen, which says Patty. It gives me a score of 86, which says this is a highly engaged customer with my business, right? It gives you also all the demographic information, that fact that she's in New York, she likes sports, travel, shopping. This is all from maybe some loyalty system. The average spending, if you look at the left-hand bottom, it says these are all the transactions that this person has had with our business. So it gives you an average here. The churn risk and customer lifetime value are machine learning models, or these models are built on, there are 15 factors. Say, for example, there are 15 factors that contribute to customer lifetime value. That can be configured with Customer Insights in the AI model that we're building. And based on those, that is very specific to your business. Once that's configured, it learns and it measures the customer lifetime value and gives you these statistics. The second thing is the churn risk. The churn risk is another AI model that's provided along with Customer Insights, which says, based on these 5 or 10 indicators, this is how we calculate the churn risk. So it might be that if this person has not had a transaction in 3 months, the score of the churn risk is up by 12 points. It's something like that, some example, right? Then we have the regular website visits. They can see, or store visits for that matter. That's from another system. But I like you to pay attention to the timeline on the right-hand top, which says, what has that engagement been? So she's made 5 purchases. She's used the app 17 times. She's had 7 social engagements. There's been 19 email exchanges. And then today she had a transaction about 1 minute ago. This is at real time. She's received some advertising campaigns from our marketing division, and that email was opened. She mentioned something on social media. So this is all the information from 5 or 8 different systems that we are unifying and seeing it in a single screen. So that's one of the examples. Going on further. Okay, I want to talk about another case study. This was one of our most successful projects that we did out of an amusement park in Denmark. So they had 2 people in their IT division. I like to start with that. 2 people in their IT, and they came up with this whole concept of subscription-based tickets. So they wanted people to come in instead of buying day passes. Right? You go to an amusement park and you buy a day pass, you spend the whole day there, and then the pass is not valid anymore. What they said was, hey, we want more people to come in and maybe just come in to just have a walk around the park, or have just go on a couple of rides and then come back again when they have some free time for half an hour, and come back another day for another walk and take a couple of rides another day based on the weather. So they had various reasons. They said, we don't want to do this 1-day passes or a 1-week pass. You can buy a pass and then you can use it for a whole month. You can go on these rides, you can do as much time as you want. Even if it's just 10 or 15 minutes inside the park, you can still spend it. So it became a subscription-based pass system. So here's the challenge, that they had no clue when somebody was going to renew, because when the day pass expired, they knew that this pass is not valid anymore. Somebody's going to come in the next day and buy that pass. But with the subscription model, they couldn't really identify when the subscription would. So they were seeing a lot of churn, or rather they were predicting that there would be a lot of churn. So what they said was, let's look at Customer Insights and see how it can help. So this was one of our initial deployments. Then here's some information about that project that I wanted to share with all of you. Right. This is what their dashboard looked like. They had some queries that they had about 189,000 members. They kind of made some initial segments, like who are all living in Copenhagen. Look at that. 38 members are likely to churn from Denmark, right? So this is where they started out. They started building all these models. This is an actual system that they use. So I'm just going to show you some screenshots. These are some of the connectors that are available today with Customer Insights. So you can connect to, a DB2 database. You can connect to any SQL, anything in Azure. You can connect to any third-party application into Google. You can connect to Salesforce. So there is you'll see all of the Microsoft solutions are by default on the same platform. So those are not special connectors that has native integration. These are the other kind of files that we can connect, right? So these are some of the data sources they connected to. So they had Dynamics, they had Sitecore, they had something called as GLX. GLX is their Wi-Fi system, which actually looks at their customers and their MAC address and their IP, and they can actually map the locations and the actual spots within the amusement park that they go to. and all of this data was mapped against a customer record, right? We followed the process of mapping, matching, and merging. So when you do a map, here's what we're doing. We are just, the only manual thing we need to do is we can say that a contact in Dynamics 365, or which is their CRM system, this is, we click on a box that says that is the primary key. That is the unique identifier of a contact in that system. And similarly, for all the systems, we will only identify the primary key. All attributes related, including foreign key relationships into this ID, is done by AI. It's going to go in and generate those queries, pull in all those attributes that belong to this one primary key, and it's going to pull it in all together. That's the power of AI, right? And then we match it. So now here we had, so initially when they look at their system, they would have said, I have 2.9 customers, a million customers out there. But actually unique, there's only 1.8. How did that come up to? This AI could actually match 1.1 million records together and unify it, and that makes it the unique of 1.8. So this is cleaner data, right? And look at the records, the percentages of records matched are showed in the 47.4% tweets. So when you have tweet, which is only 4% matching, which means your data is much more cleaner, right? Some other things, we can even define the matching rules. Let's say that, hey, if you're going to match two systems, match the name and email together. That's the matching rule that we want, because we think that's a good combination. Then there's a 47% match. Sometimes they'll say it's just name, email, and a phone number. Then that's be a whole different match. So a person who uses that system would be able to say, make that recommendation that you will see various records, a number of records for the matching logic that we do. So it's done. You can take that list of customers and export it into what we call as segments, right? And these segments can be directly exported out of Customer Insights into your marketing systems and automation systems today, right? So how do we see that? Here's one of the views. This is kind of this is in Power BI, or this can be in any reporting tool. That doesn't really matter. So here I can see on my left-hand side is that I have somebody like Neil Snap, who's a customer of mine, has a 96% churn score, right? So these are customers that I need to worry about every day, right? Okay, how do I get these people to, improve their, lower their churn risk? Then I have all the transactions, all the numbers that you want to see in any reporting tool, you can see it here. But this is one from actual Tivoli Gardens. Here's an example of a customer from Tivoli Gardens. He's Victoria. You can see that she has only a 12% churn score. That means she's pretty good. She's going to stay. She's been spending $5,000 with us till lifetime spend. The last purchase amount was $2,000. These are some of the interests that she's had based on loyalty, social media, whatever those systems were. Gift baskets, gifts and occasions, personalized gifts, wedding planning. Look at the activities. She used the Lugs loyalty app a couple of times. She used the Gardens map. So all this information about this customer is there. Based on some attributes, we have defined that if these are the types of engagement, the churn score is X amount. So that's what we have done here. But if we take an example of Neil's here, it says 96% churn score. That means there's a high probability this customer is going to go away. The last time was 2 years ago. They just attended a company meeting, came to the garden thrice, 2 promotions, 1 tweet. So we know that there's not been a high level of engagement. So the marketing department decides to offer Niels a promotion. And we see that here, he was pretty happy with one of the concerts that happened. And he actually tweeted about it. So they decided to give Niels a concert and some free beer tickets for him and a friend. They did that, right? I'm showing an example of CRM here today. So now we see when you open up Neil Snap as a contact in your application, you can see a pop-up that says, hey, this promotion needs to be provided to Niels as soon as he or she calls in, right? So the call center person actually provides this ticket to Niels, and in a week later, see what happened. It says that the promotion's been consumed, bring a friend or rock, and we also consumed the free beer that he was provided with. So he actually came to the amusement park, and now from 12%, now it's come to 40%. So that means the churn score is improving. And that's how Tivoli has been able to engage with their customers and keep them there. So here's another example. You can actually think about an app that is a retail or a greeter app in a bank. The customer comes in, it says, "Hey, I'm so-and-so customer," and immediately on the app you can see, she's got $100,000 in the bank. She's been 2 transactions, and some recommendations are provided. Provide a credit card to get some points and get them a pre-approved loan of 8%. So high-value customer. All these are indicators that for a quick person who walking into a bank, we know much more about that customer than logging into a system and looking for information, right? And with that, I'll come to pricing. Pierre, do you want to take this from here?
Sure. Thanks, Ronnie. So just to give everyone an overview of the pricing for the solution. So we understand now better some of the benefits that are available with the solution. So from a software perspective, so the base pricing, as you can see, is $1,920 per month. This is all Canadian, and that's for 100,000 contacts or customers mapped. And obviously, as you get more customers, you need to buy some add-ons. And if you're already a D365 or a Microsoft customer, the price is $14.20 per month. So that gives you 100,000 profiles, 20 KPIs, and your data gets refreshed incrementally. So from a software perspective, pretty straightforward. And from a value perspective, especially if you're able to reduce churn, identify churn, and get better marketing campaigns and data for your customer, the value is huge for most of our customers that have enough contacts to justify this. Now, Ronnie, can you move over to the next one? So one of the questions we get all the time is, kind of, how big a project is this? So I'll make this very simple. Ronnie pointed out during the presentation that this takes weeks, maybe a couple of months to implement. These are not ERP implementation projects. These are not Dynamics 365 CRM implementation projects. They're smaller, simpler, and provide huge value. So the way to get started, we've made this really simple for everyone here. So we start with a 2-day workshop, which is a hands-on learning with our team, where you get to assess your environment, develop the plan, and we're actually going to set up customer insights for you. We're going to map it to up to 3 of your data sources, so you can see on your data how it works. And you can understand the value. You can start seeing some insights. So it's not just a let's plan and figure out how this is going to work, but we actually start connecting some of your data sources. If you have 10, 20, 30 data sources, obviously we will need to help you for an extended period of time afterwards. But to get you started, 2 days, we get to connect your environment, and we get to connect your data sources and plan out the rest of the project for you. So it makes the engagement very, very simple. Now, we heard from Ronnie and the Microsoft team earlier this week that anyone that's interested in doing this workshop, Microsoft will finance part of the cost of the workshop just to get you going. So we will reach out to people that are on this call later on in the next couple of days to just make the offer, see who's interested in a workshop, and then we can get started really quickly in the next few weeks with anyone who's interested in customer insights. So we're at 3:17. We have about 15 minutes left. I'd just like to open it up for questions. So in the application that you have, in the webinar, there's a spot to put questions. So we'll let you put questions in there, and we'll let Tia read through some of the questions and ask the questions, and Ronnie and I can answer as we go.
So as you do that, as everyone's typing the question, keep in mind that the recorded versions from today's session will be available in our YouTube channel. You can subscribe, like, or share our channel at Serum Dynamics CA to learn more about Microsoft Dynamics 365 or other relevant topics. I see that we have a couple of questions that just came through from our participants. Question number 1, how many systems can we tie in with our customer insights to get the 360-degree view?
So Ronnie, do you want to answer that one, or the number of systems you can tie in?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a number of systems. What you'll find is you can pull in as much relevant systems, data from relevant systems into that Azure data lake that we were talking about. What you'll find is that not all of those systems are actually having relevant data. So that planning exercise that we do is, there is no limit. You can put in, it's a highly scalable data solution. You can put in as much data as you want. So there is no limit to that. It's got elasticity as well because it's sitting in the Microsoft Cloud data centers. So there's no limit, but you've got to be very cautious about what sort of limit, because you don't want to skew the machine learning model with wrong data. We want to have proper data in there to make that proper profile of that customer.
Great. Thank you, Ronnie. And I have a second question. Do you see a lot of customer in the B2B space using customer insight?
Yeah, that's a good question. So this release of customer insights is B2C. In the fall release, that is in I think October of 2020, we're going to have the B2B and B2B2C capabilities within customer insights. So the first release is primarily B2C, but in the next release, we're going to have B2B and B2B2C.
If I can just add to that, Ronnie, so from our perspective, we've had interest from a couple of our existing clients who have multiple organizations, multiple plants that are active in several regions and that have customers in common throughout some of these regions. And these are B2B companies. So they're anxiously waiting, obviously, the release of the B2B to be able to get a better view of their customers across business units and across regions where they have isolated systems. So definitely the usefulness from a B2B perspective is definitely there. The value is there. So we're just waiting for the new release to come up in the next couple of months for B2B, and then we'll start rolling that out to some of our clients.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I don't see any additional questions in the control panel. So on that note, I would like to thank you for sharing your knowledge and to everyone for attending in today's session. If you would like to get additional information from us, or if you would like to set up one-on-one discussion, please feel free to contact us at experts@crmdynamics.ca, or you can also visit our website at crmdynamics.com to learn more. Thank you again for taking the time to participate. Stay safe and have a Dynamics day.